Well. Wouldn't that be nice if that was the official start to our summer this week? Cruising in Style qualified great. The babies schooled great. White Tiger was a winner. First start of the year, 54-2 over the Meadowlands. He's back in to go. Sire Stakes action Saturday. Stonebridge Simba's back in to go. Now, we did put him in the Stallion Series, which secretly I was kind of happy with. You know, I had said this to you in a video the other day. We have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot, racing these horses in. You know, if it's a stake race, fine. But when we start racing them in where they can't do, you know, when you're, and this is just simple common sense, but it's hard sometimes, you know. You don't know who you're entering in against. You know, when Kevin, perfect example, Kevin wanted to race Buckingham in the Nommers of 2. He thought she was good, and she was. She paced a mile in 55. Last half, 54-4. Last quarter, 27-1. Finished 8th. So we found a condition claimer for her tonight. We need to get back to winning races, and last night was a perfect example of why. 1, it's good for the horses. 2, it's good for morale. And 3, it's, well, it's good for everybody, isn't it? You saw See You in Tuscany win pretty handily in the condition claimer in Ohio. Now, the only kicker is he's only got about 1 more start in there. Then he's got to go up where it's a little tougher. But a win was a win. Hopefully him and Jason and everybody else can build on that win. We watched last night exactly why I told everybody the Gin Blossom was an important series. Now, obviously, it looks like Mr. Stahl got the accelerator stuck. That's fine. He didn't know the horse, and I think, you know, as a driver, you know, you get over the half in 57, you're thinking, is that too much? It feels like the horse is strong. You cut him loose a little bit to stretch the backfield out. 125-1, it's too late then. Now you've already gone. He just let him trot down the lane. I wish he'd have wrapped him up a little bit, but I would hope next week he'll be under wraps, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice? 56-4, 57 under wraps with Yes and West 52nd. Both were extremely convincing winners, and people might say, well, those would have been more than enough to win the races they're in. It's not the same horses, not the same racing, it's not the same style. Easy wins for horses go a long, long way. I want you to remember that, what I just said, for the end of the year when these horses are racing in those series in Indiana, and the series is up here, and the things that they're paid into. These wins at the start of the season in this manner go a long, long way. Now, I would like them both to win a little more closer to the field and wrapped up, but they stretched them out a little bit, got to flex their muscle, and got to really bully some horses that were a little cheaper. That was the whole point of putting them in there, and I hope everybody was happy with last night. I know I certainly was. So West 52nd and Yes both obliterated their field. See You in Tuscany didn't obliterate his field, but raced well. He was a winner in 155 and a bit. Lincoln James won last week, 150-1-4. He's back in to go tomorrow night, picked to win again. Exactly, that was the start of this parade, hopefully, of horses that we can get in cheaper. Hopefully that we can find classes for them that they can do well. I need to do a better job speaking with the trainers and looking at our options. If Buckingham is now a 3-year-old racehorse, if we're going to forego the grassroots, and here's my take on the grassroots, we pay $350 or $400 to race for 18 to 20, 22, whatever they are. But they're tough races. Unless you have the best grassroots horse, there's no point going. Now, I'll break that rule in a minute, and I'll tell you why. But if Buckingham is now a 3-year-old racehorse, let's look where the best races for that filly are for us. I think tonight is a great, if she can do in there, she fits there in the class above it for quite a while, much like Book the Bet did. And aside from Book the Bet, maybe one other horse, very rarely do you see horses claimed out of that class. And it's tough sledding in those other fields, as you can see with Book the Bet. So, happy with the way the horses in Ohio raced, obviously, this week. Oh So Pine is back in to go Friday. Obviously, there's some friction. There's some friction amongst everybody when it comes to Oh So Pine. I think seeing the horses last night win easy probably only mounts that and builds that more. But at the same time, I think people have to realize that there are different paths for every horse, and Oh So Pine hasn't found his way in 2019 yet. And I'm sure he will. I mean, this is a colt that was good last year. As I said to one of our clients, you know, he has to race tough because he made $98,000 last year. Now, he does have a lot of money come off his card. This is his 5th start coming up, I believe. He did fit a cheaper class last Saturday in Northfield. They went for $4,000, but had I foregone and not said, hey, we're not going to race in the non-winners of 4 at Northfield for whatever, 15, 16,000, whatever it was, we're going to go to Northfield and race in the non-winners of 1,000, last 4 for 4,000, people would have been upset. It's easy to say after the race, yeah, we should have done that, but before the race, it really didn't make much sense. Now that this week we entered in the same class, they combined a bunch of races together and made this abomination of a field. It's tough. It's tough. But this is the first week. You know, as I was saying to one of our other clients, last week was his first start in 19 days. He was racing against older, aged company. They went in 54-4. He trotted him 56-1 off half and 57-4. I thought the horse looked good. Obviously, I would like to see him finish up closer. He was in tough. And he's in tough again tomorrow, but now we're back 7 days. I expect him to be good, much better than he was last week. You know, is he going to go out and win in 53? No, probably not. But I was watching horse jog. But I'm sure that Osopine will find his path. What else? Obviously, White Tiger won his first start of the year, 54-2, looked really good. He's in to go at the Sire Stakes on Sunday. We talked about Simba also is in on Sunday. I was glad he was going to the Stallion Series. Arvika made a break at Yonkers, and then we didn't get him back in. I had said to Johnny last night, we were talking, and I said, I'll be completely truthful. Had I known that Yonkers was closing for 2 weeks, I suppose I wouldn't have sent Arvika. Now she does have Philadelphia, Poconos, and the Meadowlands. Surely we can find her a start. But had I known that, because it's not just finding starts, now the horses that were racing at Yonkers scatter. So now those other classes are full also. Maybe we just would have bit our tongue and raced her a couple more times here had I known that. I don't know why that didn't come up, and it's my fault. So Arvika hopefully will be in first or the middle part of the week at either the Poconos, Philadelphia, or the Meadowlands. I talked to Scott. He said he made some changes and trained her. He was very, very happy with her. Hopefully he gets her in right away. Cruising in Style. He's going to make his 2019 debut. Very, very good qualifier. I was happy to see him. He really kicked it all off and put everybody in the mood last week. Great qualifier. Then we had all those baby schools. So good on Monday. I was very, very happy. And then, of course, we had, leading up to that was the White Tigers victory. And then last night, West 52nd, yes. Tuesday, See You in Tuscany, and technically Lincoln James was before White Tiger. So we had a great week, 7-day block of racing so far. Buckingham's going to race tonight in the Condition Claimer at Flamborough. And then Just a Tad is going to race tonight at Mohawk, and he's in tough. Trying to get some experience into him. Now, Warwi Ultra School, great the other day. She's making her grassroots debut 2019 at Mohawk on Tuesday. Dance Hall Babe's going to race also. And the reason I'm saying that is we qualified her without hobbles. She qualified decent, 2-3 in the mud, track off 3 seconds. So that got her qualified. Then she made a break off a qualifier. Now she's on the requalifying list. We went to qualifier with hobbles on. She wasn't any good. 2.5, she was horrible. But she can technically race in the grassroots without hobbles on Tuesday. I'd like to get a start into her. So we're going to enter her Tuesday at Mohawk. That's her. Tomorrow we're going to school Casanova's Jewel. Going to bring a couple more babies over to have a look at the gate. Nothing serious there. And then today we send 3 horses to the vet. Just checkups for Knockdown Dragout and Johan. Obviously, those are amongst our 2 best horses. We are going to send those guys to the vet this afternoon. And then we also have... Seems okay, eh? No, maybe just jog him a little bit and I'll go down and see him in a minute. I got to go back down anyway. We actually have Just a Tad racing tonight. They said he had a little swelling in his leg. Looks like he might have touched it jogging or training this week. Hopefully not a big deal. He looks good jogging there. And then Final Answer is going to the vet. I've been putting this off for a week or so. He had some scrapes on his leg, and we wanted to clean them up. Very frustrating, this right hind leg. There's not a lot of swelling there. There's not a lot of anything there. But to grab it, he's quite tender to palpate it. And the vet was a little perplexed when he ultrasounded. He said there's not really a whole lot going on there that would lead. Sure, that old injury he had from last year that really cost him time. He should be racing right now. It cost him time. It was there. But even that injury shouldn't make him as sore as it was. So I want to get a look at what's going on in that leg. We're going to have him looked at today. Tuesday, big update. Sorry it took me all the way to the end of the video to get to this. 3 horses going to the vet. For those of you that were paying attention, Sunshine and Shade, being a stud and being a big boy, he was playing around in the stall and hurt himself. Ended up cracking his splint bone. Now, the splint bone, I had explained, it's a bad example, I guess, but the swelling might be similar. There's 2 bones that run along the outside of the suspensory on all 4 legs. They're called splint bones. They're bracing bones. They're not super important. He cracked his, so the vet said she can freeze it and take that piece out. It's not a big deal. The problem is the swelling. What is that swelling from? It could be an injury, or it could be he just strained it, wrenched it. I want to be optimistic and say that he wrenched it. We should know on Tuesday. Either way, we'll take that splint bone out. As I'd said in a video the other day, the splint bone's not my concern. My concern is what's causing the inflammation. We know he kicked the wall. We know that he injured himself. But is it just, hey, he sprained himself and, you know, just give him a couple weeks. That'll come down. And that splint bone, sure, that'll be a little raw and hurt him for a little bit. But again, I suspect the swelling in that leg will be the last thing to leave. The soreness in that splint bone, I think, will subside, especially after having a broken bone. You know, I can tell you that splint bone, I've had plenty of splint bones removed from horses. Fragments, it's really not a big deal. I had a horse win 2 weeks after having a splint bone removed. Well, Lifetime Mark in Georgia, that was about a decade ago. He's a tough horse, but he never really was that sore on it. More superficial than anything. So, that's the update on Sunshine and Shade. We should have something concrete for you on Tuesday. It will need time off, whatever it is, but this is a colt that was ready to go. We trained him here in 2-3. He was ready to rock. So are we talking about a little time off, or are we talking about an injury that may push him back significantly, maybe towards the middle of the end of 2019? We'll find out. Either way, I think he'll respond well. The one thing you have to remember is, now, every injury is different, but in my experience, injuries in the stall heal differently than injuries on the track. Think of it this way, and this is how I see it. If a horse injured himself jogging, training, racing, that's the body saying, I can't take anymore. You know, I'm going to tear that suspensory's torn, you know, a tendon, a bone cracked. Those are concussion and event injuries, I would say. Let's call them event injuries. A horse hurting themselves in the stall, that wasn't from the concussion on the track. That was from something else. And I think it's liable to heal better and then in turn not really affect, and I don't want to speak out of line, every injury is different, but not affect them the same way an injury on the track would, if that makes sense to you. So I expect this injury to heal. First, we have to diagnose it properly. When the swelling comes down, to figure out exactly what it is, pop that splint bone out, that fragment of a splint bone out, and then go from there. So I think we're on track with Sunshine and Shade. It's upsetting, but he'll recover. Forged in Fire, again, every couple of weeks, the vet wants to see him and clean that throat up that had the operation, just to make sure there's no proud flesh gets in there. So Natalie had asked to bring him back up Tuesday. We're going to do that. And then last, certainly not least, I left him to the last. I should have maybe started with the injuries, but Sunshine, Sunshine's Finest. Now, there's been conflicting reports from me about the injury, what they're planning on doing, what they want to do. The problem was they couldn't operate because the laceration to the front of the joint was still open. To the joint. And they can't go in, they couldn't risk any infection, they can't go in and play around when there's an open wound there. Now, the wound is healing. The wound on the joint is covered. So now the joint is covered up. Natalie said, bring him up Tuesday. We are going to CT scan that, and we are going to screw it. Now, first, they said, yes, we're going to do that. Secondly, it was like, maybe we won't do that. And then all of a sudden, it's back to, I think we should do that. I think it's the way the bone has settled in. She thinks a screw could really put that in tight and help him ultimately. You know, I trust Natalie, fantastic surgeon, but understands horse racing, understands what needs to take place. I think the prognosis for Sunshine's Finest to make it back is very, very good. I would never say a certainty, but very good. Now, the operation and the CT scan, obviously, as we talked about before, around $3,000 or $3,500, then it's done. Then the whole thing's completed. As I had said, upwards of $8,000 is what this accident cost us. Almost cost me, who knows, if I'd landed on my head or my neck, even my shoulder or my hip, I could have been done for a long time, maybe forever. And the same goes for the horse. I mean, this was a horse that, as I was laying on the track, I realized that there was some significant damage done, and I had said to Jody and James to tell the vet, if the horse is in peril, just euthanize him. This was a horse that was very close to being euthanized. Maybe I was too, I don't know, but we're both going to make what looks like somewhat of a full recovery. Sunshine's Finest injuries are not unorthodox or rare for racehorses. The placement of the injury is, but he will recover. I expect him to make it back. I will have a time frame for you after Natalie screws that bone in, has a look at everything, does that CT scan, sees the damage of the area. She will give me a prognosis of what she expects to take place over the next couple of months, and I will relay that to you. I don't want to tell you something I'm not certain of, so I'm not going to say anything about how long he's off now. He's out of the woods, the joint's healed up. Now we're on to screwing that chip in. Then I will have an answer for you. So anyway, 16 minutes of information today, both of how horses trained, some horses going to the vet. Obviously, some excitement for me, watching our horses race last night, and Tuesday and Saturday and Friday. I was just, obviously it's uplifting. Everybody knows, I don't have to tell you what kind of a horrible winter and spring we've had. I'm going to obviously reflect on what took place this winter and spring all summer long, try to make sure it never happens again. So that's it. That's a report. It's not really a qualifying report. It's not really totally an injury report. It's a middle of the week report. Obviously a happy report. We have some horses that look like they're going to recover, some on the mend, some getting their vet checks, their last tune-ups before they go to the qualifiers and races. We have some horses making schoolers tomorrow, and we had 5 very, very important winners. Looking ahead, obviously I'm looking ahead for White Tiger on the weekend, Oso Pine on the weekend, Lincoln James again. I'd love to see him extend his win streak. And Monday, Cruising in Style. So that's it. That's an 18-minute report on a lot going on right now. I'm not going to go on about how happy I was about the wins and gloat, because we got a lot to make up for, and I can't focus on the wins after looking at the losses we had all spring. So I'm going to focus on the babies coming and see if we can't keep this thing going. So thanks very much, everybody, for the kind notes. One about my arm. I know a lot of you sent me cards, and I didn't respond back. Maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe I was just a little overwhelmed. I'm sorry. I did get your cards, and thank you very, very much for that. And Jeff had actually sent me a Q-Ray bracelet. Thank you for that, Jeff Dabrowski. And obviously the kind words about the horses winning last night. Everybody wants to see everybody do good in the stable. And, you know, that's the coolest thing, is the community we've built. You know, I was at the gym yesterday trying to work out my chicken legs and figure out how I can work out my arms. And I stopped to watch the race of Yes. And the horse had literally just went under the wire, and messages started flooding in. West 52nd, same thing. All weekend about White Tiger, Lincoln James. I'm so happy that the horses are racing good, and I know that all our clients are happy for the owners of those horses. So, thank you very much for everything. Hopefully, as I said, we can build on this. I'll give you some updates if there's anything found with the horses today, but I doubt there is. Other than Final Answer, I'd like to have something definitive for him. And then Tuesday, we have Sunshine and Shade, Sunshine's Finest, Forged in Fire. Forged in Fire is right on track. Everything's going best it can. Sunshine's Finest and Sunshine Shade. 2 big updates coming for you on Tuesday. Anyway, take care. Talk to you soon. Hope everybody's having a great day. Bye.